There are a lot of good trends and bad trends out there. Health foods that people think are healthy and that really aren't healthy at all. And it really isn't good for your body, but it's definitely pretty destructive to everyone's health. I mean, that can be common.
Top leaders, meaningful conversation, actionable advice, bulldoze complacency, ignite inspiration, create impact. Produced by Southwestern family of companies. This is the Action Catalyst.
Are you interested in advertising with the Action Catalyst? Our listeners could be hearing about your brand right here, right now. For details, shoot us an email at info@theactioncatalyst.com.
Dr. Josh Axe, he is on a mission to transform the health of millions all across America. And in 2008, he founded Exodus Health Center, and it very quickly grew to be one of the largest wellness clinics in the United States. And now he's a syndicated radio host. He has one of the top natural health websites in the world. It's drax.com. His work kind of combines the power of advanced nutrition with recipes, superfoods, and cleansing to sort of help people reach their optimum level of health. So Dr. Josh Axe, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Excited to be here.
What do you think are some of the most dangerous trends that you're seeing in health, particularly as business people, that we might have to be aware of?
Sure. Well, there are a lot of both good trends and bad trends out there. I would say when it comes to sort of bad trends, a lot of these things have happened for a long period of time, and that's just sort of sitting at your desk all day long. And the other thing would be obviously just poor diet choices. And I would say one of the things that goes along with that is a lot of these energy shots today. I think a lot of times we think, okay, I want that quick fix. I want that little boost of energy. And so even things like 5-hour energy today, and there's things much, much worse than that. But, whether you're stopping at a gas station or a convenience store, just going to your regular restaurant, they have these little things everywhere. And, doing these large amounts of especially, I know coffee too, over the past 20 years has become the meeting place for so many business, small business meetings and things along those lines. But, all of that excess caffeine and all of the stimulants over time, your body becomes dependent upon them. And it really isn't good for your body. So on the flip end of that, I think eating a diet that's higher in especially vegetable juices. And so for me, one of the things I've taught my patients for years is, hey, let's not overdo the coffee. Not that a cup of coffee a day for most people in the morning isn't going to be a big issue. In fact, I think it can be healthy and fine for some people. But, I get the same buzz and even a different type of buzz and improved health benefits from doing vegetable juice. Mm-hmm. And the great thing about vegetable juices is they sell these now oftentimes where they do a process called cold pressurization instead of pasteurization, which is better. And so you can pick these up at Whole Foods. Even sometimes Starbucks will have some of these juices. I think that's actually a great option, is to do some veggie juice, because veggie juice is getting like a high concentrated dose of fruits and vegetables. Actually, in fact, one glass of veggie juice can be the equivalent of eating 5 to 6 servings at least of vegetables. And so it is kind of like a day's worth of vegetables in one single glass. A lot of these naked juices and Adwalia juices, the problem is that it's pure fruit juice. And sometimes they're even putting fruit juice concentrates in there. And so the great thing about vegetable juice is that it's going to be much lower in sugar, much higher in nutrients. And, and not to say that a little bit of sugar, that there's no issue with a little bit of sugar. If you're getting some sugar from carrots and beets in a veggie juice, or even a little bit of grapefruit juice or lemons or things like that, a little bit of sugar isn't that bad. But the problem with most of these, again, the naked juices, is they're pretty much pure fruit juice and just really a lot of sugar.
So talk to me about the 5-hour energy shots.
Now, there are things worse than 5-hour energy. In fact, when all of these energy drinks got in the market, I've written several articles on especially things like Red Bull, and there were other ones out there that I think were even pulled off the market because of it was causing heart issues in people. In fact, some people were having heart failure and heart issues from drinking all of these energy drinks. 5-hour Energy came along. They've done a great job. The good thing about them is they do have better ingredients in theirs. which I think is a bonus. But still, a lot of these things are stimulants, and it depends on the person as well. For some people, if somebody is getting plenty of rest, somebody has a personality that's very calm, and that's their natural state, they may actually do better with a 5-hour energy and not have as many long-term issues. But again, even if it's natural, doing stimulants, relying on a stimulant for your body all of the time, typically isn't the best. But I would say if somebody has an issue, let's say like adrenal fatigue, caffeine and stimulants can actually really wear on your adrenal glands over time. And again, this isn't for everybody. That's what's kind of hard about answering questions sometimes is 5-hour energy for some people, their bodies might do fine with it. And for other people, long term, it's really going to cause some potential issues, especially with the adrenal glands, kidneys, and those types of things.
So veggie juice, though, that's the safe play.
It's a safe play. You know, people use it in, everything from Gerson therapy in the treatment of cancer to naturally boosting energy to cleansing to detox. In fact, if somebody is looking for an energy boost, the ultimate vegetable is beets. Beet juice, there are actually studies now on triathletes and on athletes, and it increasing their endurance time, their stamina, their overall strength. It actually contains something in it called nitric oxide. I think this is interesting that many of us are aware of Lance Armstrong being banned from cycling, and a lot of professional cyclists today, including what Lance Armstrong was busted for, got busted for something called blood doping, and that's where he's actually oxygenating his red blood cells. And the amazing thing is if you're consuming beet juice, you're not doing it to the degree they were doing it, but you're doing it in a completely natural and healthy way. In fact, beet juice increases nitric oxide naturally in your body. So it's great for people for improving their heart health, but it is incredible for naturally increasing your stamina, energy, and endurance. And so again, if you want a natural energy boost, beetroot juice or beet juice is fantastic.
So what do you think are some other misconceptions, like foods that people have where you go, hey, I think I'm eating healthy, but really, as it turns out, I'm not eating healthy at all?
Yeah, well, I actually have an article on my health website that really gets into the health foods that people think are healthy and that really aren't healthy at all. And so I can go ahead and walk everybody through what some of these foods are. But for starters, one of the biggest ones, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, but there's no doubt the fruit juice. So many people think it's healthy. It's definitely not. It's so much concentrated sugar. Now, eating fruit by itself or eating fruit in a smoothie, fine. When you go to the grocery store, we're buying pasteurized orange juice or the kids' apple juice. Now, if you're actually doing fresh pressed juice from fruits, some people are going to do great with that. Other people, it may be too much sugar. But if that's really the only extra sugar you're getting during the day, it's not going to be issues. If you just got done with a really hard workout or you're about to work out, it's not going to be an issue either because your body is going to burn up all of that sugar. So again, doing fruit juice around a workout, not as much of an issue either. But let's say somebody has sensitive blood sugar, of course, a diabetic, or just your average person today who's even just a few pounds overweight. In that case, no, doing fruit juice, even fresh pressed juice. Now, again, it's different if it's, you've got quite a few vegetables in there sure. as well. And then you're doing you're juicing one apple as part of your juice mixture. Again, not really much of an issue there as well. I think that's completely fine for just about everybody, unless, again, somebody is in a semi-diabetic or diabetic state. But yeah, again, it really depends on the person. But just to give you an example, if you are doing a big, let's say a 20 ounce, a big thing, and it's almost mostly juice, you're getting probably 60 to 70 grams of sugar in a 32 ounce. Think about that, a 16 ounce soda, there's typically 40 grams of sugar. When fruit juice, it's pretty close. I mean, you're going to have 60 to probably almost 80 grams of sugar. Well, it just depends. But either way, it's a lot of sugar in one sitting without any fiber. And so it's just something to be conscious of. And again, if you're working out, your body will burn it up. And in that case, it's probably not a concern.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I have a whole thing here of several things, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on these. But one of the things that surprises some people is there is a lot of farm fish today, and especially if anybody's buying tilapia or just regular salmon, a lot of it is farm. Now, again, if it says wild caught, well, great, it's wild caught. That fish is fantastic for your health. But a lot of these farm fish today, they contain what are called PCBs. They also contain dioxins, and these are toxins that shouldn't be in there. And also, one of the things that salmon is touted for is its omega-3 fatty acids, and it's a specific ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fats. And omega-3 fats are anti-inflammatory, and almost everybody has heard of omega-3 fats at this point, and they're great for your health. But if a fish has been farmed, its omega-3 fats are typically 10 times lower than in wild-caught fish. And so, if somebody is buying fish, wild-caught is 10 times superior in nutrients, oftentimes, or at least an omega-3 fat ratio. And then also it's completely free of toxins. So that's a much better option as well. And I would say just a few other foods to consider and keep out of your diet. Another big one is canola oil. Many people think canola oil is healthy. The problem is 90% of canola oil today is either it's genetically modified and it's partially hydrogenated. So in most cases, it's just as bad as any other vegetable oil. And then I would say artificial sweeteners. This is something a lot of people are still using. It surprises me, even in the business world. And they think, oh, I'm going to do, a Coke Zero or some sort of diet soda. And, Splenda breaks down into chlorine in the body, and those high levels of chlorine basically suffocate your cells. They lead to other illnesses over time. And they actually, one of the biggest problems is artificial sweeteners, whether it be aspartame or Splenda, also known as sucralose, is they kill off probiotics in your gut. And that's one of the big things. And there's actually several studies on this, is that they kill off that good gut flora, which 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. So if you're consuming artificial sweeteners, it can decrease nutrient absorption. It can cause a condition called leaky gut over time, even increasing your risk of allergies, food sensitivities, other health issues. And so again, artificial sweeteners is probably one of those other things I still see a lot of people doing, but it's definitely pretty destructive to everyone's health.
One of the other things that I always wonder about is Caesar salad. It's like,
well, it depends. Of course, romaine lettuce is a great bitter lettuce. It's good for your liver, your gallbladder, and some of your other organs. But yeah, the problem is some of these salads today have more dressing than they do lettuce and vegetables. And so, if you're doing, let's say you're doing a small amount, let's say a tablespoon of a natural Caesar that's made with, let's say, cashews or macadamia or something like that. Let's say more of a natural substance, a vegan-based recipe. I think that's okay, to do a couple tablespoons of that. But yeah, traditional Caesar today is loaded with soybean oil. And we know soy is a major issue today in terms of increasing estrogen in men, increasing the risk of cancer in women. And so they have what are called phytoestrogens. So again, most of them have soybean oil and cottonseed oil, it's a genetically modified oil, really high in calories as well. But again, the bigger issue is that it's a hydrogenated oil. And so, yeah, I agree with you. If you're going to just go to a regular restaurant and buy a regular Caesar salad, it is not good for your health. And I think, a great replacement is doing, olive oil and balsamic vinegar or something along those lines, or even buying a natural. In fact, if you go to a place like Whole Foods, if that's in your area, you can probably find a more natural Caesar. And you still want to use that in moderation, but that's at least a better option.
So I want to talk about some stress level stuff. What are some things we can do to kind of manage the stress level a little bit?
For stress, here's what I think a lot of people don't realize is that, and I know that you do realize this, but stress is healthy if it's taken in doses. My wife and I work out all the time, but we always take at least one day a week off, and typically two. And the reason is when we work out hard. It's when we don't schedule in times of rest that you're going to have an issue. And so again, you can work as hard. I mean, in most cases, you can work really, really hard, be into things and give it your all, but you have to take at least one day a week off, and you have to schedule things throughout your day that get your mind off things and allow your body to rest. And so, your mind in a way is a muscle. It has to work. If you never rest it, it's just like, if you're trying to work your biceps over time, if you give it too much of a load day after day after day, you're lifting these heavy dumbbells, eventually you're going to tear it. You're going to injure it. And the same thing can happen with our minds and our emotions if we overdo it. And so one of the things I've had my patients do over the years is get out a sheet of paper, have them write down on the left side everything that is stressing them out, and their work hours and kind of all, we kind of brainstorm and write out all those things on the right side of the sheet of paper. I have them write down all of the things they love to do, things that bring them joy, things that help take their mind off things. And whether that be going for a walk or going to the mall or watching a movie by themselves, whatever it is, we kind of write down all those things that they love to do. And so we go down the left side and we start figuring out, okay, how do we better deal with this situation? What can you get out of your life? Because a lot of times we have too many things we're doing. And what's things that you can say no to? And on the right side, we start scheduling those things in because a lot of us have a work schedule. We have scheduled in to bring kids to soccer practice or whatever it is. You really need to schedule in times of rest, times of joy, and times to live life. And I see this in a lot of people, in business professionals. This is something where I understand. I'm type A. I will go out there and I'll put in an 80-hour week, or I would if I didn't have scheduled in times of rest and understanding this. In fact, there's a great book that really hits on this topic. It's called The Power of Full Engagement. It's a great business book that everyone might enjoy, but they really talk about this. And they actually have done studies on business executives, and they found they were much more effective when they schedule it in times of rest. And that might look like you once a day taking a 30-minute walk in the afternoon and kind of letting your brain recharge and get refreshed. Even something as simple as that makes a big difference. Even, taking your time and working out in the middle of the day. Even if it's just 30 minutes, that it allows to reset your brain. In fact, in the book, they really talk about it takes 20 minutes of not thinking about and concentrating on something for your brain to reset. And if you can take 20 to 30 minutes completely away from thinking and being engaged, it really allows your body to sort of reset there. So anyways, I think in terms of stress, that's an important thing to consider. And I talked about the business side. It's a similar thing, though, with parents. Whether you're a business exec or not, I know a lot of moms out there who they're with kids all day, and they probably get zero alone time in an average week. And so one of the things I work with those moms at doing is getting 3 hours by themselves a week. And so they can walk through the mall or do lunch with a best friend or whatever it might be. But this is really, I think it's important for everyone to try and do. I know everyone has different spiritual beliefs, but this is something, taking a Sabbath or a day off that's been done from the beginning of time. And if you look in other cultures, both in Asian culture, European culture, there is a very long time in the middle of the day where people are resting. So, in Europe, lunch is definitely longer, typically an hour and a half to 2 hours in some cases. In Asia, again, there's times for tea and those sort of things in the middle of the day. And so a lot of times I know business execs in the U.S. Are working from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I mean, that can be common.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is a lot here, as you can tell, my friends. We're a fan of your mission, so you're doing a good thing. So keep at it, my friend.
Thanks for having me. I love your podcast, love your mission, what you're doing, and I just really appreciate you having me on your show.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. And to stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst Podcast and on Twitter at Catalyst_Action. And thanks for listening.